Hey everyone, welcome to our third part of building our little diorama, and we're going to show you how we're going to install and build the track here from Oak Hill Model Railroad Track Supply, LLC. And Jeff did a fantastic job on this track. As you can see from the previous, I did a little review and what we're going to be using, but here is the undecorated, so to speak, right? This is unpainted, and it's like kind of like balsa wood. It's fantastic. And so what I did, I went ahead and used the the camouflage brown spray paint just to cover the track, first and foremost here. Okay, and then what I'm starting to do is really rough up the track to make it really look realistic. And you can see here, once I get a little closer, we're going to get the camera as close as I can here without being too fuzzy, and I'll show you how I roughen up the track. So let's do that. Now I'm really hoping the focus actually works really well in here. As you can see, I started doing some of the roughness, and because I want this to look like old track, okay? And I'll have closer photos, obviously, to show what the progress and how we're building this. And the beauty of this, again, it's really, I would say fragile. It's softwood, right? But we're going to go up ahead because I started working here. Some ties are done, some ties are not. And the reason for that is some ties are going to look like they are brand new, and other ones are going to look really old. So we're going to go with the coloring here in a bit, but we're going to still work on this because I want to show you. And so let's get started with the roughing. Okay, so what I use for this is this mural tool made in Germany, but it's pretty much a wire brush, and it has some, let's see if we can do it here. I don't know if it's getting all fuzzy or not. But you can see it has some wires on the very end here. Okay. And that will roughen up the wood. It's the same technique as if you're building a wood kit. It's like a house or creating some wood grain. It's the same concept. Also, just a hobby knife. And so I'm using Amy's hobby knife. And I actually like the pink. At least I know where I can find it. Can't find it on the camera though. But here you go. So this is what we're going to do. So what I start doing, and actually I even use some old track clips. Okay, use some wire clippers will work too. This is what we're going to do. So what I start doing is make sure I get on this on the camera. All right, we'll do it right here. So we'll start over here. So I just start scraping across the top here, right? Cut into that wood. And the reason also what's nice about painting this wood is that I can see what the heck I'm doing too, right? And see how we're roughing it up. And so the wire brush will kind of like clean it and get the straight, would actually get a little bit of those grains in there and make it deeper. And you could cut the sides like this. And so, and also what's good about this, if you just want some rough looking track, you can do it this way too. We gotta put sometimes a little muscle into it. And sometimes that just looks good enough, right? And like I said, we'll have photos. I'm still getting used to this camera, so forgive me for that. Okay, and you can go in, you can slice the edges up like this, get them really cut up and old. And what I do is actually leave some of these splinters that way, because you look at old ties, sometimes they already look split, right? And they could go onto the edges here and really get in there. And also you could cut first. And anybody can do this, guys. This is super simple. It's so much fun. And then while that's rough, you can spread it. And sometimes the pieces will stick. To come off just a little bit for enough for it to look like the wood is split up. So we're going to lift this up here. Another way, we can take this, cut it up, just boom, that's it. Break it right apart here. And we're going to do this on a module too. Nice and split, wood split, and all that. So I'm going to finish up this, and then we're going to get into the weathering and painting. All right, so now we are finally done here carving and roughing out our ties. And so I've been practicing on the other side of this piece of tie, um, tie set here. And we're going to do is we're going to start coloring this. And so I found a few colors that will work. And I'll show you photos at the very end what they actually look like. And again, hope this camera's doing well with our focusing. Um, so the first color we're going to use is this. It's this Guardsman furniture marker. This is a dark, and this is nice for our brand new ties. And also here's a Guardsman medium. It's like kind of like a light brown rust color. This is good just for a mix of light brown and dark brown. And then also we're going to use a couple of these tidy track painters. Excuse me. Here's a rusty rail, and we also have the weathered tie. And now I've been using all this and mixing it with this apple barrel that you get at Walmart or Hobby Lobby. And this is a granite gray to make the old track. Okay, so this is what we're going to use for our painting. And so we're going to start here at the top and work our way down. And so what I've been doing is, and so here, what's good about the rusty rail and also the weather ties are good for a base. So I start off, and again, this is just the base color, that's camouflage paint. And so I'm going to go ahead and just color the tops. This is just to cover the all the little cracks and crevices that we have recently roughed out. I never had much luck on rails with this stuff, but I'm telling you, for ties, this stuff works great. Okay, let's experiment. That's a brand new tie. We don't want that. So let's just do a section here. Okay, we'll go over. We're going to layer this just like you do your weathering, your freight cars or rolling stock, and like you do your scenery work. And just layer and layer. All right, so we're going to work on this little section right here. Okay, and now we're going to do, because it's a brand new tie, we're just going to use this dark, and it has a little like, looks a little greasy too. It looks like the creosote on top of a tie. And so that would dry right into the wood itself. And again, we'll have photos showing the difference here. Okay. So what I do is sometimes I'll mix it up here. So we got this Guardsman medium. Okay. And again, just experiment. Layer it. Smash in the colors a little bit. Blend it all in. There we go. Okay. This really soaks into the wood. Now I've noticed something different. I've tried to use powders, and the powders do not work. It softens it way too much. It doesn't show all the different, actually covers all the detail of the wood. Okay, so we're not going to use powders. You just simply going to use markers or paint markers or just paint. Okay, we're going to take this kind of little dry brushing, just less and less on this brush here. Okay, and lightly go over it. Okay, this represents those old ties that you see that fairly gray. There we go. Okay, and if you want it a little more, you get a little more to it. And again, you can use these markers to cover. If it's too much, you can always use the markers to cover over it. And so what I like to do is take some more of this Guardsman and just go over just a little bit too much. If it's too much, there we go. Sometimes the weather tie looks good too. Over this here. And again, if it's too much of that, you just keep layering a little bit more of that paint. So continue here just a little bit, and then once it dries, it really does a nice job. There we go. It's like that. Now, what I use the rusty rail for, because we got these old plates that are going on here, so I take the rusty rail and go a little bit over each end of where the plates will be. So once the plates are on, it'll look like the rust. It'll look like the rust is expanding outside of the actual plates itself. There we go. And sometimes ties do have a rusty color as well. Okay, and so we're going to use this here. Again, not that much on the brush. Okay. And then even you can use this in the middle, this dark stuff, and look like this creosote being poured in the middle here. There you go. And again, this will all blend in really well once you have your ballast. And ballast is going to be an important factor when you're weathering your ties, especially laying the ties down. Make sure I get the crevices. So I'm going to finish up this, and then we're going to go to the next part, and that will be adding the rail to this track. Originally, I was going to glue down the rails, but I realized I first have to actually put the ballast down because I wanted to make sure that the ballast and the dust did not ruin the actual rails. And so what we're going to do here is I have some rock that I have sifted. This is actually rock from the side of a road. And what I did was I used some just gray primer paint and mixed it all together to give it a little bit of variety of color. And so what we're going to do is we're going to ballast this up, and then we're going to put the rails on top. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to get started here. Now I have just a plastic spoon that Amy got me. And what we're going to do is we're going to work on this side here. Now, this is a display only. It's not. We're not going to really be running trains on this particular part. Also, this is very, very old ties. That's what we're going for, is the old look, kind of like an out of service or abandoned look on this piece of track here. And so the ballast doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to at least the ballast to be recessed. I think that's the word. In between the ties, not really above the ties too much, because you really want to show off all the weathering on these ties that we did together. And so just a little mix, so that way we have a good variety of color. And so I just take some on a spoon, and you can do this on your regular track on your layout as well. And I kind of start in the middle and just kind of sprinkle it on. And it's okay if it goes on the scenery part because it's natural. It's going to fall. Real rock does that, especially ballast. And on the edge here, we're going to put this here so we can get rid of that brown color. Okay, just like that. And what I like to use is this really, really nice fine makeup brush. And I can't remember. And Borges, is that how you say it? Borges? I have Amy here with me too, so she's watching. So we're going to do really lightly, just go on the edges here, and then work our way towards the middle. Again, very, very light, and we're kind of wiping it off the ties. Is what we're doing here. And actually, what I've been doing, I was showing Amy this earlier, is that I'm kind of having the ballast not be as perfect, like level with the ties, but kind of recessed down lower to look like old ballast. Maybe it looks like a little bit of a washout here and there. Nothing that, just a variety of the style of ballasting. And of course, once we put the alcohol and the glue on this, we'll wipe off really gently some of the pieces so we can put our rails on here. As you can see here, it's okay again for the ballast to go over the scenery, the ground cover, because where we want to show is the plants and the weeds going through the ballast. because it is old. So you kind of do it in reverse. So naturally, you're letting it fall on top. So we're putting the ground cover first, then the ballast above this part here. But naturally, it's kind of reverse, right? The plants will come through and grow through the ballast. Learned that from Boomer Diorama. If you guys know Boomer, and actually being a railroader, I learned that too, just from running trains on older branch lines and old spurs. Okay, this thing is ballast. I think it looks great. All right, so the next step is make sure all this is sealed and holds into the to our base and our module. All right, so what we're first going to use is I use 70%. You can use 90%. It's probably better, but isopropyl, I think that's how you say it, rubbing alcohol, and just a simple bottle that you can get at a Walmart or a convenience store or like a CVS or something. They're fairly cheap. And so what I like to do is spread this out. That way it helps spread out the glue when we're putting glue on the ballast. All right, so I have the matte medium. This is the matte medium from Scenic Express that we used on the ground cover. We're going to do the same thing, and this should help spread out the ties. Just like that. We got a little splotch here. Add some more to dilute it a little more. Okay. If it's too much, you could take a little rag and just press on it to get rid of the excess. Okay. There we go. Okay. And some parts here probably a little, if it's too much of an excess, then you just dab it with a little paper towel. It will come right off. As you can see, it didn't look like it didn't really affect the weathering of the ties. And so we're going to let this dry. And once it's bone dry, then we're going to come back and scrape off the top of the ties with excess ballast. And then we're going to add the rails to it. So let's wait overnight and we'll go for the next step. All right, so it is the next day, and I was able to have this dry for over 24 hours, and so the ballast is hard as a rock, as you can see. So I did a pretty good job doing the matte medium here. And so I went ahead and I added some of these joint bars, and I'll have a picture and some videos or something here showing on the sides of the rails. Now, they're fake joint bars, but they're from Details West, and I got them at the NMRA convention, National Train Show in Novi. And one of our friends actually had it for $3. I couldn't believe it, but it adds a nice little touch having these joint bars in here, and gives the rail really, really some realistic appearance. Okay, and I'm just looking here at the different scenes here, but I never really had a track gauge, but I had a Lombard Hobbies business card and used that as my track gauge. And so all I did was after I added those little super glue, those joint bars to the rails, I added some more brown paint, and the brown paint kind of represents older rail, and it's just like an earth brown, very flat earth brown, something you'll get at a Walmart or a Hobby Lobby, and really, really helped to show off the sides of the rails. And so what I did was I actually super glued these rails, and use the track gauge to go through, and Lombard Hobbies has a track gauge, and so I was able to use this. First time ever laying rails on ties. I was always scared to death doing it, but this wasn't really too bad. But the ultimate test is to see how it goes. And here is a Southern Ridge Lines, part of the Cardinal system. This is a box car made by Reputo Trains from Home Shops. And I never ever took this car out of the box. It was a brand new car, but I mean, and because those joint bars, it gives a little bit of clickety-clack sound to it. So it sounds like you have joint and rail. But it runs really smooth. And obviously you can see I cleaned top of the rails off here. And so that'll be it for the track. Now, I love Oak Hill, and I love their work. Jeff Otto does a phenomenal job. I really can't wait to bring this to the RPM meet in St. Louis and show it off to him. Really excited. The super glue is still curing, so I'm going to give it a little bit of time. Obviously, we got a couple of days before we go. I love the products. Now, he does a really nice system where you can actually do a whole layout using his product. Me personally, I guess with my experience, I probably won't do that. But we're going to have a lot of different scenes using these kind of kits. And actually on a module, we'll be using this as well. And we're going to represent an old branch line that has been torn up. And we're going to show a piece of that still being torn up by our Maintenance Away crew. So look forward to that in the future for this module. But in the meantime, the track is done, you guys. It's done for our display, and I'm really, really happy. And guys, thank you so much. Thanks Jeff Otto for this wonderful kit. And I had a great time weathering it and putting it all together. And it looks the way more than what I dreamed about that this module is going to look like, or this display. So guys, thank you so much. Stay tuned for the next part, as we're going to start adding a lot of the scenery to the sides here, and then we'll go from there. You guys take care, and I'll see you next time.